All right. A couple minutes late there. Sorry about that. Was finishing up building my daughter's. She got a new ATV for her birthday, and I think she's watching us right now. So, Hagen, if you're out there watching, I love you. I hope you're enjoying your oatmeal. I hope it's tasty. And I'm really excited for you to ride your new four-wheeler to school tomorrow. I love you so much. Eat your oatmeal good and listen to mommy say yes, ma'am. And I'll come tuck you in. I'll give you a kiss whenever I get done. She just turned 3, and she's got it going on. So, Sissy, I love you. And thank you for watching and being my biggest fan. With that, this is Lando Live. So welcome in. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Lando from The Lando Show. This is Sports Below the Surface, where we give people like yourselves the truth for the true fan, the truth that you deserve. All right. No questions asked. We always do the best that we can to remain as objective and as truthful and forthcoming as possible. And one other checklist item here before we get rolling, we're going to talk about Micah Parsons, the contract that is inevitable. And we're going to kind of tune up on the predictable playbook that is the Dallas Cowboys method, their philosophy, the way that they go about their business anytime a massive contract extension, one to this extent in particular, and anytime, those things kind of get going, so they have a very specific set of skills, word to Liam Neeson, and they're not fooling me. We'll just leave it at that. Okay. As you guys, if you've been watching me closely the last week or so, really the last 3 weeks, you know by now that I'm very liable to, my Mac is liable to lose the connection, the video connection. If and when that happens, everybody stay calm, stay tuned. I'll make the adjustment. We'll figure it out, and we'll continue rolling, hit the ground running. Okay. For some reason, once again, I'll say this every single time I'm live. You guys maybe can help me out here. And let me get this chat pulled up too, so I can see who's in the house. We got Hazel and Hack in the building. That's my guys over there. If you guys don't know, I'm also minority owner of a new golf business, the most relatable golf on the internet. That's Hazel and Hack. That's Waggle Golf. Shout out to our sponsor, the official sponsor and partner of Hazel and Hack, and the Lando Show, supporting everything that you guys see. They deserve a huge credit and a huge thank you. So fun people to work with. You don't have to love golf to love Waggle. They got something for everybody. That's my favorite part about it. My daughter even loves it just as much as I do, it seems like. So she has fun helping me pick out whatever I'm going to wear. Most days, if I ask her, she gets real excited, and she has a field day in there. So the people over at Waggle, and then of course my guys over at Hazel and Hack. Those are we got something special building over there, and I can't wait to continue doing that alongside them. So thank you guys for being here. We got Big Fish 5 in the house, Micah in the house, and who else? We got Joseph Chapman up in here as well. Thank you. Josh Simmons, I see that. We'll mention him here just a second. Well, what we are going to do first here, I think we've got all of our pleasantries and other duties taken care of. So we're just going to go pull up cowboyscountry.com, where all my written work gets posted. You guys can see that. Feel free to do so as many times throughout the day as you can. Got a lot of good things going. Okay, so we're going to click on this one right here. Cowboys versus Micah tactic labeled disgraceful and predictable. And then we're also going to, of course, touch on his brother, Terrence Parsons, who is saying some pretty, let's just say, rather provocative things. And shout out to Terrence. He and I did some work together last year. He was good people, good company, and we had a really good conversation that I think a lot of people appreciated and enjoyed. And I myself was one of those people. So I hold him with high regard, and I thought it was interesting when he was being rather forthcoming about the current situation as it pertains to Micah and the Dallas Cowboys. Now we're gonna walk before we run here, though, and take this step by step and piece by piece, and really break it down. When you start to evaluate the state of the star, all right, like I said, these contract situations here come about seemingly every year, and seemingly perpetually the Cowboys are late to the party. And they cost themselves money as a result of that, okay? The same thing is true for Micah Parsons here. If you guys followed along with me for, I want to say 5 weeks ago, I began the countdown when I first mentioned the March 12th, 4 p.m. new league year deadline when free agency was going to commence, right? And so I said that we were going to find out just how serious the Cowboys were about being aggressive and team building, because getting this Micah Parsons extension done would free up, or could potentially free up, as much as anywhere between $10 and $18 million of extra cap space that they can go out and spend to be aggressive with in the first wave of free agency. That, of course, did not happen because we are today's March 18th, I believe. March 18th at 8:23. So that deal didn't get done in a timely manner. And so now we're left just waiting. But it seems as if they're finally turning the corner. And it's funny because, I'm not calling myself, I'm not saying that I'm Nostradamus by any means. I'm just, when you pay close enough attention to the way that this organization, this front office, goes about their business, it doesn't take a long time. I'm certainly no expert in this field, but I feel like I do enough due diligence to call myself very well informed, to say the least. And when you start to see this trickle down effect of news, notes, headlines, and things like that, talking points, you do one of these where you just, at the very least, raise an eyebrow at the situation and start to really think, okay, what is actually happening here? What's the true meaning behind this? Our CowboysCountry.com's very own Mike Fisher, the guy who I owe a lot to as far as just kind of taking me under his wing and giving me a shot in this industry as a writer on the Cowboys beat. 35 years covering the Dallas Cowboys, 40 plus years, I think, in the NFL for Mike Fisher. Very few, if any, people in Cowboys media or otherwise, not with the last name, not Jones, know Jerry, Stephen, and company better than Mike Fisher does. Okay. And so one of his punchlines is he often refers to the Dallas Cowboys being a marketing team that sometimes plays a little bit of football on the side. Okay. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. So we'll kind of go through the bullet points, if you will, with my article that I put out this morning. I guess it was actually posted this afternoon. That's okay. The moment a superstar Dallas Cowboy approaches a contract extension, the media machine suddenly activates. That's a play on Mike Fisher's famous punchline. The Cowboys are a media machine, without question. This time, the target is Micah Parsons, and the narrative is all too familiar. Is he a problem? Is he a distraction? So I guess I should also reference is he a problem thing, and where this whole deal began, why I began writing whenever I did on this topic is because I started to see, you know what? Real quick, y'all got me okay on the audio? How's the audio sounding? Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a horns up in the chat if y'all can hear the audio. And like Marcus McFarland says, absolutely, please, and thank you very much in advance. Let's get the likes up. We did just eclipse the 4,000 subscriber mark. We're actually well over that point now. So we're making the push to 5K. And I can't remember if I said that I'd have a giveaway for you guys at 4,000. If I did say that, I will, of course, honor that. I'll have to go back and check the stream from the last couple of days. And we'll pick a winner. We'll figure out a way to get everybody in a pool and select a winner. There will be another giveaway at 5,000. And then each subsequent 5K subs after that, we will just continue to increase the giveaway, all courtesy and on behalf of Waggle. GetYourWaggleOn.com, code HOSL10 for a discount there for, in my opinion, and it's not just because I'm partial to them, because they're believing in my vision and the vision that we have over at Hosel and Hack. Audio good, they say. Okay, cool. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate that. I'm going to actually go ahead and switch it over. It's going to sound, if you think it sounds good now, it's going to sound better here in about 1-2 seconds. There we go. All this fancy technology here, and I don't even have it fired up, but that's okay. We roll with the punches. Roll with the punches, don't we? Like my guy. Okay, now we're good to go. Micah Parsons. Where were we? Regroup here. All right, there we go. So we've seen this script before, right? The news comes down. I believe it was Dallas. The Dallas Morning News had a "Is Micah Parsons a problem?" headline of sorts, and instantly where my head went, and I think I actually had it tweeted. I'll pull that up for you guys to see. Just so y'all know how quickly we just see right through what they do, what they're trying to do, we'll say. Here we go. So right here, that I forget the report, so forgive me. I want to say it was Calvin Watkins that had the initial headline or link to a column that he put out on this topic here. So that's when I started. I set my phone down and I sat back in my chair like this, and I just put my forehead just in my palms, and did one of these whole numbers. All right, here we go. Time to hop back on the podium and start breaking it down for people. It's what we love to do. It's what we always do, but it feels like people they understand when we're sitting here walking them through it, and they meaning them, just whoever doesn't understand. You guys, most of you do. The 75,000 plus strong and counting in the Lando Show's platform and community. You guys have a pretty good feel for it. I know because the questions that you guys ask. Some of you that I'm following back, like you ask enough good questions and you support me enough, I absolutely follow you back. And I love engaging and learning from each other and just building a community, right? That's what it's about. So you guys get it, most of you anyway. And the people that I meet in person who say, "Hey, you're that dude that talks about the Cowboys or whatever." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up? Nice to meet you." And then they instantly tell me that they appreciate how deep we get over here. Sports below the surface is the mantra because we dig a little bit deeper, right? And so talking about it, you guys get it, but I want to make sure. I feel like when these headlines, like we get it when the news breaks, it's a massive overreaction, okay, and then the dust settles a little bit, and then people start to, okay, deep breath, and we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I've seen this before. Same old song and dance, right? We know what this is about. This isn't anything that we haven't seen before. This is standard operating procedure. SOP, baby. And so these are my thoughts here. The Joneses are dug deep into contract extension negotiations when the "Is Micah Parsons a problem?" reports start rolling around. The deal will be done soon, y'all. Not soon enough, March 12th, but soon nonetheless. And so then this is at, I don't know, around noon today, 8 hours ago. So then a few hours go by, I'm doing my thing, and lo and behold, I pop on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, to interact and engage with you guys a few different times throughout the day. And so I'll just kind of scroll through, see what the latest news and happenings are. Check my mentions as best as I can. I don't always get to all of them, so I apologize in advance for that. But then just try to engage, right, and respond. And so I see this. It's actually T Parse Boy. So Micah Parsons' brother, T Parse. It's Terrence Parsons, but T Parse Boy. I see this thread. And so, like, you got everybody running with it now. There's law right there on his timeline. I actually commented directly to Terrence Parsons as well. I saw Foots the King mention something is coming. Right, we've all been sort of reading between the lines. And remember, you guys yelled at me. You said I was a homer last Tuesday, the second day of free agency, that the legal tampering period when the Cowboys were, pretty much more or less sitting on their hands, while every other team, seemingly except for them, was getting busy in the first wave of free agency, right? I said, let's let this dust settle a little bit, guys, right? Just like we just talked about. The Dak restructure occurs. The CD restructure occurs. A couple other things go down, and lo and behold, the Cowboys have $55 million of cap space. Currently sits at 42, but like we talked about yesterday, if you guys missed that one, please go check that out. $42 million of player. Look me in the eyes when I'm saying this. $42 million of player can get you 52, 62, 72. I'm sorry. Let me start that over. See, I jumped the gun. $42 million of cap space can get you 52, 62, 72, 82 million dollars of player. And we got the conspiratorial sounding drop there. That's the Joker laugh. I love that one because that's when I want y'all, if y'all hear that one from this point forward, just know that I'm really trying to get you to think a little bit. Okay. It's not a conspiracy, and it's not a hot take. It's real. It's truth. It's fact. It's business. Modern day NFL business happenings. Okay. The salary cap is real in the future. It is fake today. Whatever you're willing to do, kick the can down the road, defer dead money into the future, allow for the salary cap, the ever ballooning salary cap. That's my famous, punchline, I guess, if you will, in regards to that. But the ever ballooning salary cap makes up for whatever overspending that you have this year. So if you overspend by 10, 15%, you defer dead money into the future, 10 to 15% of your cap into the future. Well, guess what? The cap's going to go up by another $20, $25 million next year. And then the year after that. And then the year after that. It's like magic, right? The salary cap is an accounting principle. Okay, so $42 million available to spend. But here's what I was referring to with Terrence Parsons. Okay, this tweet right here, and you'll probably see my response in here somewhere. But he goes on to say, y'all, the Cowboys moving real different at Attack on Cowboys. And I think he added him. I've been paying attention to the Cowboys Collective. It's a fantastic podcast with Attack on Cowboys, Laws Nation, Foot's the King, and of course, John Machota. And so they've kind of had this little bit going on between John and AOC. AOC has been, much like me, banging the table. Let me make sure I'm still got video over here. Looks like it actually disconnected, but that's okay. We got 526 people right now in the chat. Most of y'all, I'm guessing, on the Twitter side of things. If that's not the case, let's just say it this way: if you are on the Twitter side, I would much appreciate if you just hopped on over to the YouTube side of things. And actually, you know what I can do right now is let me go ahead and just paste that link to the YouTube directly beneath. I don't know how that works from your interface, your side of things, if it just takes you straight to it or not. But just in case it doesn't, let's go ahead and do this right here. Where's Lando at? There he is. Comments, boom. And then while we're doing this, Cowboys country. Hello. I want to post that thumbnail too, so you guys know what you're getting yourselves into. Thumbnail, upload, boom. There we go. Save. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Brief little intermission there. That's okay. So Terrence starts to get a little bit cryptic with his tweets, a little bit transparent, if you will. People know what's coming, okay? Or at least those of us who have been paying attention to the salary cap situation, something's in the pipeline, y'all, right? That's the thing. Y'all said I was a homer when I mentioned that last Tuesday. Everybody but the Cowboys were getting active, and then lo and behold, there's 2 trades and 4 or 5 more free agent signings. The ensuing 2.5 day stretch to finish out the first week. So I had a little punchback for some of the people that were in my mentions, right? And I usually don't pay attention or give those people any energy, but every now and then I have some time, and I'll stand up for myself. Okay, let me go ahead and get back over here. Stop sharing that page. See, I don't get why this. Every now and then it just stops recognizing the camera. All I got to do is unplug it, plug it right back in, and boom, we're back. So I don't know what to do about that. It's an Osmo Pocket 3 used as a webcam. If any of you tech geniuses out there want to help this doofus out, please feel free. Just mention something in the in the chat and say, hey, I can help you, and we'll link up after this concludes. So Gary Bookwalter, he says, I'm on the YouTube, brother. Appreciate you, Gary. Thanks for being here, man. Make sure you hit that like button for me too. We're building big things over here, man. Like I said, 75,000 and counting, 4K right now on YouTube. So thank you guys so much for showing up and helping continue the growth of this platform. So Micah already admitted back, a few weeks back, right, before free agency began, and that's when I began sort of writing about the timeline and the deadline. Pay attention to March 12th. Hey, I'll take less. His agent was probably ready to throw his phone through the television when he saw that, I'm sure. But it just goes to show you Micah's committed to winning, right? He really is passionate about that. Like, he wants to win. He's the ultimate competitor. He's one of the best football players in the National Football League. And he's willing to take a team-friendly deal so that you can spend more money to go get extra help, because he knows how dire that situation was last year. Right. So there was no excuse for the Joneses not to get that done before March 12th. They didn't do it, but now still they can still operate with a little bit more urgency than they have in years past. Mind you, last year, Dak's extension wasn't done until what? The day of, I think, the day of the week 1, the matchup with the Browns, right? I was in Montana when that happened for a wedding. But the CD news broke just a week or two prior. And my wife caught one of the, she did a really good job of recording me without me knowing and asking me a question. And she goes, we're sitting at lunch about to leave or head to the airport for a flight. And she says, so what now? What does the CD contract extension mean? What's next? And I pretty much said in just the most candid way possible. I was throwing down on some chips and salsa. Dak's contract extension is also imminent. Remember, there were questions. Like, Adam Schefter was reporting all kinds of things, and I included one of his mentions from back then, from this, last year, mid to late summer, talking about Dak's deal's not going to get done. They're going to part ways. Mutual. Both parties mutually agreed to part ways. That's kind of what he was hinting at, and I'm sitting here like, y'all are sadly and sorely mistaken. All right. So we knew, like, my thing was the logic behind when my wife asked me the question about what CD's contract meant, what's next. Well, you would think that CD would like to know who's going to be throwing him the football for the next 4 years before he accepts that contract extension, right? He could play hardball in inter-free agency too if he wanted to, but no, he didn't. So one contract meant that the other one was imminent, and that's exactly what happened. But needless to say, they waited way too long. They played hardball because they let it get to that point, right? Micah is even still saying, or up until about 2.5 weeks ago, hey, I'll take less. Let's get this thing going, man. I don't want to draw this out. Got a brand new coaching staff, with the exception of Brian Schottenheimer and a couple holdovers. You're going to be learning another new defense for the second year in a row here. And it's important for that guy to be in camp. It's your best player, new system. You want guys to be on the same page. And there we go again. Mic check, mic check. I don't know what causes this, guys, and I apologize. Seriously. It's frustrating for me. I'm sure it's probably frustrating for you, but y'all stick with me, and it'll be worth it, I promise. Here we go. We may just roll with the internal camera. That's fine by me for right now, just so we can avoid this problem happening. I'm going to get this figured out, I promise. So, and I do too, Joseph Chapman. Likewise, man. See, thank you, RMC. Is it still lagging? Hate to hear that, dude. Just trying to put a good product out for the people, and the technology don't want to keep up. I'll refresh it. Hopefully that helps. That should have helped at the very least. I think he's saying that the audio and video aren't exactly in sync, but it's all right. Synced back up. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's an issue. We're going to solve that problem. That's next on my to-do list. As soon as we get off here, I'm going to troubleshoot and figure some stuff out because that ain't okay. It's not okay. So Darlene has a pretty good point, and this is kind of what I'm getting to. And I'm long-winded here. That's who I am. It's in my nature. So y'all gonna have to love me for it anyways. And Andrew Fisher says you're good now. Thank you, fellas. Appreciate y'all tapping in and keeping me on my toes here, keeping me locked in. So back to this article. Let's go back here. Let's finish up because there's a couple points that I want to make, and I want y'all to have the visual as well. The same strategy that they tried to deploy with Dak, with DeMarcus Lawrence, and countless other Dallas Cowboys who bet on themselves in light of a looming extension, right? They stall contract talks. They let whispers of doubt circulate, and then they scramble at the last minute, rinse and repeat. So this is me last year. This is context, just so y'all know how long we've been talking about this. And this even predates this, but this is last calendar year, midsummer sometime. Fans were in a frenzy over something that Jerry Jones said. And so obviously we addressed it and we gave the truth, the sports below the surface truth about the situation here. Okay, let's take a listen. Stop letting Jerry Jones manipulate you. There's so much misinformation all across the mainstream media webs right now that you are losing your minds over nothing. Okay, here's what was actually said. We're getting great work done and making real progress. I don't think we're losing a step with where we are now. And then the clip in the headline is getting taken way out of context.
Saying there's a sense of urgency as you begin the preseason to get CD done? No.
And then just a lot more senseless jargon to sort of downplay his sorry attempt at negotiation leverage, I guess.
No. Why you say that?
I'm I went to high school.
Oh, that boy's slipping.
I don't know why I said it, but I'm just saying I
don't know why I said it.
I don't have a sense of urgency about getting it done.
It's a long-standing tradition.
Pick any reason you want.
You know why
I hit no boo 2 days ago. Give that as a reason.
Yes, sir.
There's nothing to see here, guys. Remember, prayer changes things, y'all.
Amen.
Pastor cares when I'm upstairs. He's more than enough.
Amen.
So, needless to say, Jerry Jones once again caught himself in a lie, and he knows exactly why he said what he said, right? He got put on the spot and stumbled a little bit there, but that's okay. We know exactly what he's up to regardless of what he says. But he mentioned just a few weeks ago, yet again, that there was no urgency in free agency to fill voids in the roster. They're not using free agency to fill voids, which is just absolute lunacy, right? It's insanity, and it's just incorrect, and he knows it. But the media machine is churning because they know it creates headlines. They know it creates it's publicity. Okay, so Jerry Jones also makes mention many times at any chance that he gets at whenever it's relevant, right? Amidst these sort of standoffs between he and the opponent, which in this case is actually the player on his roster whose agent is going to war for his rights as far as what he deserves relative to what the market says, right? Jerry Jones says the man who picks up the phone first in a negotiation is usually the man who loses the negotiation. I don't know for a fact I've heard him say that specifically on the 105 through the fan airwaves a couple years back, and I've seen it, time here and there throughout the years since I've really been paying attention and doing this pretty much full time. So, but my point with that philosophy is that the old school way of thinking. It may have worked for Jerry in his previous business ventures in the oil field or the real estate business or whatever. But it's continually and perpetually getting the Cowboys in trouble because they wait. And what Todd France knows, Dak's agent, right, for both times that they franchise tagged him and last year as well, they hold all the leverage. If you wait until the final year of a player's contract, barring something catastrophic, they've got you pinned between a rock and a hard place. And that's exactly what happened. So the smart agents, especially ones with agents who have players like Dak Prescott, who's not only widely regarded as, one of the best in this league. He's not in the first tier. Don't misquote me. But he's widely respected. And he plays the most important position in all of sports. Yeah, okay. You want to play the waiting game? Let's see how that works out for you, Jerry. I dare you. I dare you to go into this season not knowing who your quarterback is. We'll see. And that's what they did. So, like I said, Parsons clear that he was willing to take less money. Terrence Parsons today confirmed as much, and he's almost to say that the deal is done. It's just not announced yet. I'm sure the Joneses are waiting for the right time. The media machine wants to make sure that there's nothing else happening. They may wait till this Friday to announce that, to where it's just that's all that we read. Probably a Thursday thing. So they get all Thursday the weekday headlines, all Friday the weekday headlines, and then continues on throughout the weekend. That'd be my guess. We'll see. But he said that Micah held up his promise. That's paraphrasing. But basically just alluding to Micah Parsons taking technically less than what the market dictates, which the market at this current point let's pull up Myles Garrett's, and then I want to get to some questions. I'm going to wrap this up. But you guys kind of get where I'm getting at, hopefully. Myles Garrett spoke track. Yeah, he got 160. Come on now. 4 years, 160 million, 40 million APY. So 59 total guarantees. So my guess is, and once again, y'all, just like we had this discussion with the Dak Prescott thing, the APY is not important, really. It's the guaranteed money that's most important. It's worth paying attention to here. Oh, I'm sorry. So that's guaranteed at signing. I read that wrong. The total guarantees of the Myles Garrett contract, $123 million. So $123.5 million total guarantees. So that's really where the math begins and where it's like important to start reading. So my guess is, based off of Terrence's words here and what Micah suggested that he was willing to do, and still none of this is official yet, but somewhere in the lines between, let's say, took a couple million less APY. Let's say Micah breaks Max Crosby's, he got 35, right? So he's probably going to fall right in between Crosby and Myles Garrett, just for the sake of full transparency. Let's go ahead and make sure that we're accurate on Max Crosby's. Once again, I'm always doing the best I can to be spot on with my points, with my takes, So 3-year, $106.5 million. I'm bad at math, but we'll do that real quick. 106 divided by 3. It's going to be roughly in the 36 range, right? 106 divided by 106 divided by 3. Yeah, 35.3 million. Okay. So Micah's going to get more than max, but he's probably going to take, assuming Terrence is correct and it's official, at least with what he's alluding to, Micah's going to be somewhere in the 36 to 39 million APY range. I would guess about 100 and what was Max's guarantees one more time? 91 million total guarantees. So let's say Micah 4-year extension on top of this year that he's already have. So he'd be under contractual control for the next 5 years through the, let me see here, through the 2029 season. And once again, that money lowers the cap hit because it allows them to spread this year's cap situation out and add it on to void years, right? So you can get a lot more creative. So you have 4 extra years to play with his cap reflection. So let's just say somewhere in the 4-year extension on top of his current 1 year for 24 mil. Let's say a 4-year extension, 115 total guarantees, APY of 38. So 4 years. Let's do the math real quick. Let's just see how accurate we can be. See if we can get close, just based on reading between the tea leaves here. So 4 years, $152 million with what I say 115 total guarantees. So you add the 5th year plus the 24. So 4 at 38, make it 4 times 38, 152 plus 24, because that's what he's going to make this year. That's what's on the books this year, $24 million. So that his contract would look like, it would still technically look larger, technically speaking, than Myles Garrett. So it would be reflected as his his new contract would be it'd be 5 years, 176 million with an extra 115 million in total guarantees. Right? And I believe this 24 million is also fully guaranteed. That's the 5th year option that the Cowboys picked up. Let's make sure Spotrac will have that for us too. Shout out to Spotrac for keeping us in line here. Let's go Micah Parsons. Yeah. Base salary 24 million, cap hit 24 million, dead cap 24 million. Yeah, it's fully guaranteed. That 5th year option. So a 4-year extension at 38 million would be 152 million. That'd be the total contract value. You add the 24 million on top of that, brings it to 176. So it's 5 years, $176 million with 115 extra. So 115 plus 24, 139 in total guarantees for the next 5 years. That's just a rough guess. Something along those lines. Okay. That's probably a little bit too much considering he's got 24 million left this year. I would say let's bring that number back down to about 100. And let's say it's just so it's 5 years, $176 million with 124 million in total guarantees. That's 1 million more in total guarantees than Myles Garrett currently, who sits at, with his new contract, 123.5. So it's actually about $500,000 more in total guarantees. But since it's over the duration, it's also 5 years, right? You got the extra year because this year, the 5th year option counts too, right? That doesn't just disappear. So you get him through the 2029 season. You get him a little bit more in total guarantees than Myles, but technically less APY. So it's freeing up more money this year for them to move around and go make a few extra moves, right? So keep in mind, they still have $42 million to play with, guys. So I know that's a lot of numbers I just threw at you, and I really try my best not to do that, and I apologize. So let's just put a pin in that right now. We all kind of understand the Joneses tactics, what they're doing, what they at least are trying to do, fooling nobody, at least nobody in here. All 1,049 people that are in here right now watching live. Salute to all of you. Thank you so much. And I know that was a lot of number and word salad, but what questions do y'all have? So let me write this down. So assuming Micah did take less, let's get out of here too. Assuming Micah did take less than market value, $4 years, $38 APY, so 4 years, $152. That's the extension, okay? 4 years, $152 million. This is all new money, okay? So forget the 5th-year option for just a second. It still counts, but for this argument and this exercise, forget that, okay? 4 years, $152 million. That, more or less splits the difference between the APY of Myles Garrett's extension and Max Crosby's extension. All right? So we got 4 years, $152 million, $100 million fully guaranteed. All right? So stacked up against Myles Garrett, it's technically $23 million less than the total guarantees that he just signed with his extension. But when you add in the fully guaranteed 5th-year option, it's $1 million more. But he's technically taking a team-friendly deal based on the APY, the value of each year annually. So the new contract, 4 years, $152 million, added to the 5th-year option, that looks like 5 years, $176 million. With $124 million in total guarantees between 2025 and then 4 years after that, 26, 27, 28, 29. The next 5 years, he's got $124 million straight to the bank. Does that make sense? Am I wrong anywhere? Because I very well could be. I kind of just did all this on the fly, this math and stuff like that. So somebody help me out. But that's just kind of giving you a general idea of how this stuff would work, as far as, and we're going to get to that. That's a good point, Suave D. And I got a couple more minutes here before I get out of here. But yeah, so Darlene's on it. They're going to free up another 14 or so million when this deal gets done. So that's going to bring that 42 million in space that they have right now back to where they were when they started after extending or restructuring Dak and CD, flipping those switches, So just waiting for the news to drop, right? It seems as if a lot of people are considering it all but done, including Micah Parsons' very own flesh and blood, his brother. So we'll see what happens. But needless to say, okay, the whole point here is that, yes, we're 1 week into free agency, but, all the top of the market guys who would command a sizable contract, 20 million or more annually, those guys are all gone for the most part. I mean, what's Asante Samuel going to sign for? Surely not 20 million a year. right? He would have already been gone by now. Let's just look at what that projection, because the Cowboys they've already technically addressed. So yeah, so the calculated or projected market value for Asante Samuel on the open market, and this is fluid, right? This is subject to change. There's nothing is set in stone here, but Spotrac is speculating, let's just say $12 million annually for Asante Samuel. That would barely put a dent if they signed him to a say 3 or 4 year deal. That's going to barely put a dent in that $55 million that they would technically have, assuming the Micah Parsons deal gets done before they sign Asante. But even if it was $42 million, where it is right now, they sign Asante Samuel, they're still going to have, depending on whatever they want to do with that money, they can do whatever they want with it. They can defer it to the future, and he can account for, much like Oso Digizua when he signed, right? His contract value was, annually about $20 million a year, but he's only reflected on the books this year, 2025, $6.5 million. So once again, it just goes to show you, it validates the point. The salary cap only exists if you let it in the present, right? So they can do whatever they want as far as deferred money to the future, for the most part, right? There's some loopholes that you got to jump through and things like that, and there's some technical nuances and things, of course, but it's an accounting principle, guys. So you go get Will Hernandez for next to nothing. APY, $4 million or something along those lines. You go get Asante Samuel. You now all of a sudden have a competition at the nickel corner spot. He and Kalen Carson get to go duke it out in training camp and let somebody earn that job. It's more than likely going to be Asante Samuel who does, considering he's got experience and he's a much more productive player at this point in their careers. But then you got some depth, right? Kalen Carson, he gets to, not too much pressure, thrusting him into the fire, saying, hey, good luck being Jordan Lewis. And so you just buy yourself a little bit of time, right? And then, of course, you could do, God knows what happens in this draft. There's tons of talent. Just about any. So it's kind of ironic, right? The positions that the Cowboys are most dire at, and I would say that it's obviously corner, but 2 of the 3 most dire positions for the Cowboys right now: defensive tackle, still. Haven't had dinner yet, bear with me. Running back and corner. You talk to Brian Broaddus, you talk to Voch Lombardi, you talk to Foots the King, which I've talked to Foots specifically about this, and he agrees. But I know that based on what I've seen Voch and Brian talk about, that they believe that running back and defensive tackle are arguably the 2 deepest positions in this class. So that bodes well. So I completely forgot receiver, y'all. Y'all know where I'm at on that. That was basically what all of this past week's, yesterday included, the projects were about, okay? But what I was trying to get to is that defensive tackle and running back can be addressed in the draft. I would prefer not, because y'all know it takes forever. In my opinion, defensive tackle is the second most difficult position to find a difference-making talent at, outside of quarterback, because of what's required, right? Offensive lineman, that's technically a tough transition too, because you're wrestling with other grown men who are black belts in technique and hand fighting and all this stuff, and just 300 pounds and powerful as all get out, just freaks of nature, right? But the thing is, why it's more difficult for defensive tackles most of the time, unlike offensive linemen, are wrestling with 2 300-plus pound grown men who are black belts and technically sound with trench warfare. So not only do you have to be able to be powerful enough to hold your ground when 2 guys are trying to move you, You've also got to have the instincts. You've got to have the football IQ. You've got to be your cardio's got to be better, right? You think about it. Why? Ask yourselves why. Okay, look, this is further context, y'all. Think like let's talk about this. Why do you need 4 defensive tackles at minimum to play one football game? You got 4 guys rotating in throughout the game, all about 20 to 25 snaps apiece, give or take. Offensive linemen in a perfect world, they don't come off the field. When their offense is on the field, all 5 offensive linemen are the same exact spot, all 4 quarters as they started the game. They don't move. They don't sub out. Unless you're Dan Skipper. Sometimes you do. Why is that? Why do you need 4 defensive tackles? Or let's just say 2 3-techs and 2 1-techs to make it through a football game when you only need 1 at each of the offensive line positions. You know how hard it is to resist one 300-pound dude who's actively trying to move you, much less 2? The cardio required is off the charts, much less like we talked about, the power, the leverage, the hand fighting, the footwork even, and the IQ, the film study. To try and not be moved. So listen, think about it. Not only does the offensive lineman have a numbers advantage when playing this position, their position, DTs are outnumbered almost always. Resisting someone is more difficult than trying to move someone because you don't know where they're trying. They have the luxury of knowing what's happening, on top of having usually an extra body at the very least. Guys are gonna combo and climb, or somebody's gonna chip, or somebody's gonna you've got split zone with a H-back coming across the formation and taking you out right at the edge position or whatever. You got a fullback coming right up the A gap, taking his elbow or his shoulder pad or even sometimes his face mask or his helmet directly into your rib cage when you're trying not to move against somebody else's will. It's incredibly difficult. Okay, point being, I think they've done a decent enough job at having at the very least serviceable talent there. Like NFL, they have 1 above average player, 1 replacement level veteran, and 1 guy who is just like a below average starter. A young guy whose arrow is still, you hope, pointing up. That's Mozzie Smith. Okay. So good enough for 3. And then you got Justin Rogers. So you're still outnumbered. Like you don't have enough defensive tackles to make it through 1 football game, much less 17. So, okay, it's all things considered, where they are today with Solomon Thomas, Mozzie Smith, and Oso Digizua. I'll swallow my pride a little bit with my wishes as far as how they continue bolstering that position and adding depth. I'm okay saying, all right, let's throw at least 1 dart, ideally 2. They better address. I would love it if they just spent 2 draft picks this year at the defensive tackle position. Hopefully they shock me and there's they swing a big trade for somebody who's trying to get off a contract somewhere else. That's most likely going to come after the draft because teams really, like, everybody's going into the draft thinking that this is their year, right? And so they got to evaluate things based on how it falls. And you'll see more movement happen after that point. But running back and defensive tackle, this is a great year to add depth at those positions and to get real, like, potentially difference-making players at those 2 positions. So, long-winded way of saying, very long-winded. And I'm going to answer your question here in just a second. That's a fantastic question, Suave. I think they're not done. They can't be. They can't be done adding in my opinion, at the receiver and the cornerback positions before the draft begins. Now, can't be done adding doesn't mean swinging big and going and getting a difference maker. Can we bring Garrett Wilson up in here, by the way? Can I just go ahead and put that into the atmosphere, into the universe? That would be a difference-making addition right there. You got the cap to take on whatever it is that he wants or that he's going to command. Go and get yourself a corner. If you go get Asante Samuel, you trade for somebody else that you know is a serviceable veteran, a guy that can be instantly upgrade your wide receiver 2 position, then you can pretty much do whatever you want to do in the draft and feel good about, at the very least, you've got a little bit of insurance just about everywhere across the board. So something's in the pipeline here. Right. And that's what Terrence Parsons was alluding to when he was mentioning AOC, because AOC has been the one in that Cowboys collective of 4 who sees the most eye to eye with me as far as, hey, something is still going to happen here because it has to. Thinking logically, applying the logic to the situation. It has nothing to do with homerism, has nothing to do with fandom. It's looking at the roster and then looking at how much money they've created. The Cowboys know they have holes, guys. They've given themselves flexibility to go out and pretty much do whatever they want. And I'm going to transition into Suave's question. About 4 minutes, I'm going to try to get out of here at the hour mark. If they can do whatever they want, then why are they being so damn frugal? It doesn't make sense to me. From your lips to God's ears, first of all, Suave. Because, listen, man, I mean, I've been confused many times too. It doesn't really make sense. And you're right. But the reason why, okay, if they can do whatever they want is because, I'm going to use an accounting terminology once again, cash payables. Signing free agents is an instant negative. It's a credit outgoing in your bank account. Cowboys sign Oso Odigizua, signing bonus, boom, $20 million right out the gate. The Dallas marketing Cowboys and Jerry Jones, the Joneses themselves, their company net value decreased instantly when you sign outside free agents. That's just the way that it works. And Suave agrees on the Garrett Wilson. Let's pull up his contract too, because man, I might be up to something here. I might be on to something. That's a team that's pretty much more or less having a fire sale. Right? They're gonna have to retool and regroup and let's just see. Hold on 1 second. Are y'all enjoying this? Am I making sense at all? Chat's kind of quiet, so just want to make sure. Good question, Thad. Would Cooper ever consider coming back, or is that relationship too broken? You nailed it at the end of that statement, man. Or at the end of your message. You got it. It's broken. It's not happening. It's not happening. If anybody wants to know why, who doesn't, let me know. Hit the retweet button if you're on Twitter, or hit the like button if you're on YouTube, and then let me know in the comments, and I'll answer your question for you. Don't forget, guys, if you're enjoying this, the super chat function is ready and able and available for you. If you want to support this channel, you can also, I'll have my Venmo and my Cash App included. That's another easy way to just, show your support for me. This is what I do. This is how I help feed my family. So it's not paying the bills right now. It's a work in progress in that regard, but it's going to. So with your guys' help, it will sooner rather than later. So I appreciate any and all support. But the best way, the cheapest way, the easiest way to support me, all that stuff aside, is tell a friend where to find me. And if you're not subscribed, if you're one of those people that's new here, if you just had a friend tell you where to find me, then just make sure that you follow so that you don't miss the next one. That's it. Ryan Perales. See, this is what I love to hear, man. This is why I do it. And if I just get one of these comments per show. Really, one a week is enough to keep me going. And we significantly outpaced that one per week because you guys are you. There's a lot of good people out there that go out of their way routinely to check up and say how much they appreciate the work and ask questions and are supportive. And so I'm super thankful for that. But Ryan says, watching for 10 minutes and I've already gained insight I didn't previously have. That's what it's all about, man. It's exactly what it's all about. So thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. And Thad says, don't give up. Always, hey, I'm too deep. Giving up ain't in my DNA anymore, man. If it ever was, it's not anymore. I promise you. I'm applying the same level of discipline and perseverance that I applied to my baseball career where I fell short. That's because I didn't understand the me versus me mentality that I needed. And I didn't apply the discipline, that doing the extra work and taking care of the little things like sleeping enough. Extra things as far as fine-tuning your skills outside of your team practice window. Okay, doing more, going above and beyond, eating better, getting more protein in, lifting harder, challenging my body, all those types of things. Like being a professional, it goes well beyond just what you see between the lines in any given 9 innings, or in this case, on the gridiron on any given Sunday. It's right here that I didn't have mastered whenever I had my shot to make it. But I learned from that, and now I'm applying, like I said, the same levels of discipline, perseverance, and mental fortitude towards whatever it is that I do in my post-playing profession, which is now fatherhood first, sports media, and golf, the golf world. I have a golf business too. You guys aren't aware of that. Hosel and Hack on all platforms, HOZZLEANDHACK. If you want to see that, you can go directly. They were actually in here. Our president was in here on the Hosel and Hack YouTube account, and he was up at the comments, towards the top of the comments section, hanging out with us for a little bit at the beginning of this before he got to his next lesson. So Suave D says, I've already so appreciate that. Do you have Cash App? I do have Cash App. I'll go ahead. I guess I can put that in the comments now. I'll have it in the description, but Cash App is $, and then my first and last name. And then Venmo is Landon Dash. So I hope I answered your question. Did I get you covered there? Who was it that asked that last one? Oh, Thad. So Thad said, I think we were talking about Amari Cooper. That whole there were some questions about, obviously the vaccine situation happened. So that's part of it. The practice situation, or at least for Amari's case, seemingly, let's just say they're always an ailment, if you will, or at least that was the opinion of many people responsible for, just from the pro scouting department, their assessment of Amari. And there were just questions about his commitment. Few other things, but it got personal. Okay. So that door is closed. That ship has sailed. It is what it is. In Buffalo, the fact that it tells you all you need to know really, but just look at if he couldn't put it together with that offense and the MVP, Josh Allen, and it's just like a non-factor. That should speak volumes to you guys. Okay. Darlene says, no way. I may be misunderstanding that, but that's okay. What I like about what you do is your critical thinking, and you stop and think about what you're doing before you go at it. Yeah. So like I said, I do the best that I can. I do my homework, and I try to be able to convey the truth, the sports below the surface truth, to you guys in a creative and entertaining way. So I hope I've achieved that today. We got some draft questions. So I included the draft logo into the thumbnail, which I don't know if it may not have been posted officially, Joseph, before you hopped in here. I can only operate based off of what I know, what I can tangibly see, the current state of the roster. Okay, that's what yesterday's project is all about, and it's much shorter than this one is. Currently, it was 30 minutes, I think, and you just scroll through my videos on my profile, my YouTube. Go through my channel, and then yesterday's video, you'll see Teterow and McMillan listed in the thumbnail. Click on that one. That'll kind of help you. That's just more context and a deeper discussion of what I'm getting ready to tell you here, if you're interested in checking that out. But I can only operate based off of what I know now. What is the current Cowboys reality? And that reality is they have one guy at the receiver position that you can count on outside of CeeDee Lamb. He is the only guy. It's CeeDee Lamb, and then it's a bunch of question marks, a prayer, if you will. Okay? Not Kevontae Turpin. Don't be fooled by his contract extension. 3 years, yes, but that doesn't, like, $5 million total guaranteed, guys. This isn't like some master plan for him to all of a sudden become a focal point of the offense in like the wide receiver 3 or 4 in a regular feature. He's going to get some touches, and I think that this coaching staff is probably going to have a better plan for how to go about doing so. But this contract isn't the determining factor for that, for getting him more involved. This is a very cheap deal. If let's just say worst case scenario, I talked about this yesterday, crap hits the fan, Kevontae Turpin just isn't it anymore. That 3-year extension, they can get out of it next year if they want to. There's an out in 2026, and you'll see that reflected on Spotrack's website. Okay, that's because the total guarantees, which is what we talked about earlier in this video here, this live. That's what's most important, what you got to pay attention to. Okay, your honest opinion, and then same. So sorry, Joseph, real quick, then I'll get to yours, Joey. First round pick, operating under the assumption that Genty's gone. If he's available, I'm taking him. I don't care. No matter. But based on what we know about the current state of the receiver room, it's a wide receiver. And take your pick of the 4. I like them all. I think they all bring a little something different. I think my preference would probably, like, the guy who's most pro-ready right now, where I have the least, like, 0 questions whatsoever, I would say it's going to sound crazy, probably Emeka Egbuka. Not sexy, I know. Cowboys fans want Teterow and McMillan, and I would co-sign that one too in a heartbeat. I need to study more of his game as far as what he brings in the run game, because I'm still taking, guys, think about it. Run game and physicality, it's not just what this coaching staff has been preaching every chance they get, right? That's another reason why I'm sitting here saying, I'm like, all right, what are we waiting for? What's the holdup here? You're talking about wanting to run the football and stop the run, but you haven't done anything to address doing those 2 things yet. What's the holdup, right? You're talking the talk, but let me see you walk the walk. Put your money where your mouth is, man. So if it's not, it should be Genty, but Genty shouldn't get there to you. Okay, so assume Genty's not available. Give me one of the 4 receivers, and I think the Cowboys like all 4 of them, and they should, because all 4 of them are instant upgrades to your roster and are day one the number 2 receiver on the team right away. Emeka Egbuka, the most well-rounded, and just looking at Brian Broad has made a fantastic point. Okay. Emeka Egbuka has already been highly productive. He's also a national champion. Okay. Highly productive for couple different quarterbacks. And as the Robin to somebody like, say, Marvin Harrison or Jeremiah Smith's Batman. Okay. The Pippin to their Jordan. He would instantly step into the Cowboys roster and be the Pippin to CeeDee Lamb's Jordan. He's already comfortable doing that. You know he's wired the right way. It's a team captain. I wrote a piece on him as well if you guys want to get a little bit more below the surface on Emeka Egbuka. But that's just a guy that does everything the right way. period. And more so on, I mean, once again, tea leaves here. Looking at yesterday, they announced the new numbers for all the recent acquisitions, the new guys that are incoming to the roster. Did you see what number they gave Dante Fowler? Anybody in the chat? Oh, so Thad, I'm just now seeing your question too here. Sorry about that. Ray is putting together he's assembling the Avengers for draft night. So I believe for night one, I'll be on set somewhere with Law Nation, maybe Ben Larimore, Ray, probably Vach Lombardi, I would guess. I'm not sure what Vach may be doing the draft. He probably gonna be he gonna be in the MVP seat somewhere with .com most likely, considering he's doing the draft show now for DC. But yeah, there you go. So Joseph's paying attention. Number 3. So what does that tell you about the receiver position? How does that correlate? Somebody tell me. Oh, never mind. Joseph already said it. Cooks' number, right? So Brandon Cooks, you just assume they're not bringing him back. Okay, that experiment didn't work. I was wrong about it. I thought that it would translate more seamlessly than it did and into higher production. Obviously, it just never worked out. Injuries to himself and to Dak Prescott, and there was just, I didn't agree with the way that they deployed him under Mike McCarthy's his regime and his system. That's a guy who can still run fast with the best of them and can still do a lot of the vertical things very well. But the Cowboys, for some reason, inexplicably, were asking, and I'm going to get really like sports science-y and kinesiology-y on you right now real quick, just because as an athlete, I'm just very, I guess, privy to it. I don't know. I just pay closer attention to it because I've always been very in tune with how my body feels and the way that it works, and I've learned a lot just about human performance and peak physical and functional fitness. When as you age, it's much how do I want to say this? It's much easier to run fast than it is to slow down after running fast. You got to kind of it's not sudden. The way that it is in your youthful exuberance, in your early prime, your days of being 18 to 26 years old, when all of your joints are just as stable, as sturdy, as strong, as explosive as they ever will be. All right? You lose the ability to slow down first before you lose the ability to still be fast, if that makes sense. Brandon Cooks can still be fast. He can still separate, okay? The problem is you turn on the film and watch the way that he's deployed, and you see, I did this exercise last year, middle of the season. Is Cooks cooked? I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to pull it up and show y'all that I'm not just pulling this out of my rear end here, okay? And Joseph Chapman, great point too. Yes, you do recover slower as well. I agree. But for the sake of Cooks being effective, when you ask him to run a stop route to the sticks, he's not going to succeed because, number one, older guys, they slow down slower. They can't get out of their brakes as fast. Okay, but number two, even when he does, that's not a guy you want boxing somebody out. That's not his body type. That's not his game. So just complete malpractice with the way that he was deployed. And I'll take that to my grave. But let me just show y'all, while we're here. Full transparency, full disclosure. Your boy was all over this one. Okay. Actually, I think it's on. You know what? We might be able to watch it. I think I did a short reel that I posted to Twitter. Let's go. Look at us. All right, here we go. Share the screen. Boom. And is Brandon kind of full? Dang, I thought we had it. Okay, so only 30 seconds, but it's kind of just a little teaser just to show you. The work was done on YouTube, and it's the thumbnail for the YouTube channel. You can see it pictured right here, right now. Is he cooked with the arrow pointed at him? I like the way that looks, actually. That's a good I like that thumbnail. I may have to do some more of that. Some of my pre-draft breakdowns, they'll look like that. So y'all just be looking for them. That'll kind of be the style that we'll play with. But here we go. Cooks washed, or is he being utilized incorrectly? Or is it something else? The answer is yes. Okay, and the conclusion that I've come to is he still top end fast? Yeah. But he's also slow down slow. So like we just covered in depth on YouTube, please go check it out. Stop asking him to slow down. Remember, prayer changes things, and the war is already won. Love y'all. Talk to you soon. So is Brandon Cooks washed, or is he being utilized incorrectly? Or that's the whole point. And somebody else in the chat, that's an astute comment, and you're not wrong, by the way. When you say that Wildcat 88 says Cooks 3 is not the only number that he's worn as a professional football player. That's true. He was number 12, I think, for a point. I think he was 14. Was he 14 in New England? I think he was 12 with the Rams, 14 with the Pats, 3 with what number? Because single-digit numbers for receivers I don't think were allowed. Was he 10 with the Saints? I think he's been 10, 12, and maybe 14 outside of number 3, like he was here. Doesn't matter, but it's a good point. But the whole purpose for why I said that is if you expect to bring a guy back, and there goes my camera, that's probably a sign that it's time to get off. I've gone way longer than I expected or planned on going, but we've had a good discussion, so I've stuck around. You guys keeping me locked in. We're just going to go internal camera. I don't know what the deal is with that, y'all. I'm sorry. But the whole purpose is if you're intending on bringing a guy back, you're not giving his jersey number away that he just wore last year. Okay, so it's written in Sharpie that his time in Dallas is done, and I hope he finds a good landing spot, and I hope he goes and contributes somewhere else. And look for a team like, say, I don't know, I could see him maybe going back to LA as a depth piece, somebody that can, veteran guy that can kind of make a final push and spell whoever it is. In certain personnel groupings, 11 personnel, you get Brandon Cooks as your number 3 or even your 4th wide receiver out there. I think you feel pretty good about that if you're a lot of OCs out there. Apple. Oh, he's trolling Apple. And I saw your comment earlier. I put that together now. A little slow to it, but yeah, maybe. My brother, I trust him. I'm not a tech guy, clearly. But I've had to learn a lot of things along the way. So that's kind of cool, I guess. But my brother was in that world forever, and I consider him a tech professional. And he told me that this was the most powerful laptop on the market back in 2021, whenever I got it. So I took his word for it. And it has got all the upgraded bells and whistles. I will say it's probably – so – we just built out the new studio out here behind the house, and I think I think it has something to do with I'm not using a wired internet cable. It's wireless, so that's I'm sure that's part of the problem. These streaming style, these hour-long streams and stuff like that, running multiple different interfaces, like I'm toggling through in and out of cowboyscountry.com. I'm toggling in and out of YouTube or Twitter, showing you guys certain things, bringing visuals. I'm sure it's got something to do with that. I'm gonna figure it out, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm just kind of rolling with the punches and learning on the fly. No reason to be stressed. What veteran wide receiver would you like to see them sign? Good question. That's the thing, though, is that with the money that they've freed up and have the ability to spend, there's nobody on the open market that's going to command a substantial amount, really, as far as free agent wide receivers go. That's why I'm saying there's got to be. I mean, what else could it be? I mean, yeah, you gotta allocate, say, $15 million max to that incoming rookie class. So let's just say 42 minus 15 right now. That still gives you what? 27? $27 million. And once again, 27 million in cap space can get you way more than that in player. Do you think they even need one then? What is that? Are you talking about a receiver? Do they need a receiver? They need a receiver like I need air. And like I need better Wi-Fi connection somehow. Absolutely, they do. I'm about to just throw down on the rest of my dinner here, y'all. I can't wait anymore. I'll gladly hang out as long as you guys are still engaging and asking questions and throwing me $100 on the super chat. Had 2 hard workouts the last 2 days, so my body is like craving calories. So yes, they absolutely do, Joseph. No question. Do they need one? Because as of today, guys, Paris Campbell is a camp body. Oh, I see what you're saying. Do they need a veteran? No, I mean, they don't. But the point, and I guess I never made this clear earlier, so that's my apologies, but that's what I was trying to get into. I remember now we were talking about yesterday's show with Tedero McMillan on the thumbnail, Telegraphing Tedero, I think it was the title. You don't want, you cannot, as a team who's a franchise, if you're a franchise that's serious about winning, you cannot enter the draft desperate at any particular position. You can't. Otherwise, you end up in a situation like Tristan Hill or Mozzie Smith or Tyler Guyton. You let go of Tyron Smith last year, and all you had on the roster to show for a replacement was Chuma Edoga. Yeah, you probably force a little something at left tackle. By the way, the do not, by any stretch of the imagination, begin to even think about writing off Tyler Guyton. That is foolish. As somebody who's been a former professional athlete, who has been through the rigors of learning, understanding how to be a pro and how to figure out your specific skill set, what you're good at, and how to master it and apply it to the field. The guys that are wired the right way, which I believe Tyler Guyton is, and a lot of people, very important people, will verify that as well, that he's got it right here. Untapped traits, barely been playing the offensive line position, and then thrust into a, hey, go replace this perennial first ballot Hall of Famer, and good luck to you. Protect our franchise quarterback that just signed a record-setting contract extension. No pressure, bud. Oh, and all that on top of, you're going to go ahead and flip sides. You're going to play the left side of the line as opposed to protecting Dylan Gabriel's right side, blind side last year on the right side. Good luck to you, kid. Don't be foolish and assume that what we saw last year is the finished product and that's all that you're going to get. Don't be foolish. That's not Homer. This is truth. Okay? This is life. Those who are wired the right way eyes. Look at me in the eyes when I say this. This is a life lesson for everyone, myself included. Note to self. Okay? Reminder. So I already know this to be true, but sometimes I forget. It's easy to forget. Those who are wired the right way, willing to work for whatever it is that they're trying to do, you versus you. If you got that part down right here between the ears, the toughest thing to measure, why do you think the bust rate is as high as it is? Why do you think the quarterback position is impossible to evaluate? You can see the physical traits all day long. Physical traits get you to the league. The mental traits keep you there. All right? Those who are wired the right way. I just realized I'm not looking at the right camera. Golly. See? Fail forward, baby. We're wired the right way, so we're going to figure it out. We're going to learn from our mistakes, and we're going to get better. Here we go. Eyes. If you're wired the right way, you will learn the lesson from your losses, and you will fail forward. That's the key to life right there, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that strongly. That's why sports is such a valuable, it's the ultimate unifier, first of all. But number two, I think it's the ultimate teacher. At least it was for me. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but there's a reason. You see all these commercials and companies nowadays. I think State Farm was kind of famous for it recently. But companies want to hire athletes because they know that athletes that competed at a high level are going to show up, and they're willing to put the work in, and they're going to be disciplined, and they're going to understand, what we just talked about, right? It's valuable. So that's my little rant on Tyler Guyton. I've talked about that situation in recent past, and I have an equally as passionate rant about Mozzie Smith. Maybe you guys can hear that tomorrow. We'll be live tomorrow night at the same time. But Josh Simmons, man, you better not pass on him at 12. I'll be shocked if he's there too. And Chris Johnson, I just realized, said, "What's up? What's good? What's good, Chris?" I'm guessing you just popped in. You caught us a little late, but that's the beauty of the playback. You guys can always go back and rewatch. A lot of fun. A lot of good discussion tonight, and that's a good place, I think, to – did something break? Did we have some breaking news or anything like that while we were live? I'm seeing a lot of people that are sort of kind of riding the Key Allen to Dallas. Okay, so here's an interesting report, guys. This is noteworthy. Jane Slater. She certainly had her share of whiffs, misses, failures, like we all have, right? There's reasonable questions about how plugged in she still is, considering she's not, I think she's working for, is she NFL.com officially? Or NFL Network, I mean? Yeah, NFL Network. I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently on this topic, but there's some people who question whether or not the Joneses are giving her still to this day all the accurate information. Like I said, this is speculative. I've heard this. I don't know if this is true. Okay, so grain of salt here. I respect her a lot. I mean, I feel like she's usually pretty sharp, but some people have different opinions. Okay, so needless to say, Jane Slater reports, while there is chatter on Twitter about Micah Parsons and a contract extension being finalized, I checked. Not only is it not done, but what would be characterized as meaningful talks haven't even begun yet, per 2 sources informed. So we're going to find out what I just talked about as far as how plugged and informed she still is with just not in general, just with the Cowboys. Okay. They may be, I'm sure what she's saying is exactly what somebody told her, but it's smokescreen season, guys. So you got to sift through everything. Micah Parsons' brother, he told me that Micah, he's been wrong before, right? He told me that Micah was only going to miss 2 games after his ankle sprain last year. It turned out to be a lot more than that. It's not that Terrence was intentionally giving me wrong information. It's just, they misevaluated the injury report or I guess the expectation as far as the timeline is concerned as a result of it. So that's obviously completely contradictory relative to what Micah Parsons' own flesh and blood has been saying and what I have kind of been lobbying for at the very least, right? Who knows? But I don't believe that Terrence Parsons would just do this if there wasn't legitimate momentum already. Whether it's done or not, I mean, it's obviously not announced, but I don't know that that's relevant. Okay, it's just the fact that there's momentum and that it would appear as if Micah Parsons' side feels pretty good about where they're at. Not only with the numbers, we talked about the numbers. I can't wait to see what the official numbers look like. And if I'm right on that, or at least I'm remotely close, that'd be pretty cool. I'll be proud of myself, a little pat on the back. But just kind of spitballing numbers. We'll see what it ends up with. But interesting report. So it gives you something to chew on. Everything the last hour and a half that we've covered. Jane Slater has a completely contradictory report. So as the star turns, and once again, the reason you can apply logic to that as well. Why would the Joneses just all of a sudden be leading Jane Slater down the wrong path? Well, think about it, guys. She's working with NFL Network now. So that means Jane Slater appeals to 32 franchises or fan bases, right? Think about it. It's not just one fan base that pays attention to what Jane has to say anymore. There's 32 of them. It's the entire National Football League that she covers. She covers, right? Her umbrella stretches way and well beyond Frisco now. So think about that from the marketing machine that is Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, the world's most valuable marketing franchise or sports marketing franchise. If they lead Jane down the wrong path, and just think about the timing of this. She checked just a couple hours after Terrence Parsons goes on a tirade on Twitter talking about the momentum. She checks. Joneses shoot it down. She reports that. Guess what? The circus continues. Now it's headline warfare on Twitter too. Think about it, guys. The beginning of that song, no one knows what it means, but it's provocative. It gets the people going. That's Jerry Jones, y'all, in a nutshell. Ball so hard, want to find me. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't even know what that means. No one knows what it means, but it's provocative. Slater works with Bobby Belt of 105.3 The Fan. Works with him? I don't believe that's true. I mean, unless there's something I don't know. What do you mean works with? Because Bobby does draft show with .com. He's also with 105.3 The Fan, and I think he also is doing. He's probably got another payroll somewhere on somebody else's payroll. But Bobby Belt is a local. He's local media. He's not national. He's not NFL Network. Jane Slater is national. So when they falsify reports, they create massive headlines, especially when it completely contradicts everything that was stirring. There's a frenzy in Cowboys country, Cowboys Nation. the media machine, the headline maker, Jerry Jones. I showed y'all a video that I made this past summer about CeeDee Lamb. He's literally caught in a bold-faced lie. And he's admitted as much himself numerous times. He'll do whatever it takes to keep the people talking about the Cowboys. That's what we're talking about here, y'all. I'm going to quote this, and I'm going to feed the beast. I'm going to cater to it, right? He's her producer. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's okay. I didn't know that. That's dope. What are they producing? Does she do a podcast weekly or daily or something like that? Or fill me in real quick before we head out of here. While we get that answer, though, we'll just go ahead and get the outro out the way. Remember, you're always forgiven, never forsaken. Prayer changes things, and the war's already won. And don't forget, tomorrow night we'll be back here. Thanks again to 8 p.m. And thanks again to the official partner of the Lando Show and of Hosel and Hack LLC, Waggle Golf. Get your waggleon.com code Hosel10. Everything that you see me wear for the last year and for hopefully the next 10 years to come will be all courtesy of Waggle. So that's all we got. He says he's her producer. I'm gonna take his word for it. I did not know that, but that's still interesting. That doesn't necessarily change anything that I said prior to. It just changes the fact that I said that they don't. Okay, her segments on NFL. What? Bobby produces that? That's interesting. Anyway, all right. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate everybody tapping in. 8 o'clock tomorrow night. YouTube.com at the Lando Show. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Let's hit it.